chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, what do you know? Good afternoon, Cayman Islands. How are you? Good morning to our global family as well, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and it's good to be back with you on this fabulous Tuesday. Yeah, happy Tuesday, everyone. And I found this and I thought I would share it with you, thanks to the Sharon K. Brayfield. Living a Life with Gratitude is what it's called. Count your blessings. There are many beautiful things in life to appreciate. The gift of life is priceless. Be thankful, be grateful, be blessed. I thought that was so sweet, and I hope you enjoy it too. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. And today's episode of Sabrina Speaks, it is my aim to explore Cayman's population surge, rising cost, and the shifting balance between Caymanians and expatriates. Yes. And with Caymanians now outnumbered in our own country, we break down, and my aim is to try to break down the facts based on ESO data, discuss immigration reform, as well as it all ties into this. And we'll even continue with the discussion that went into 8 o'clock yesterday and examine the Native Caymanian Petition, which called for generational rights. Now, this is a neutral, thought-provoking conversation about identity, opportunity, and coexistence. So I invite you to share your voice and with us. I would love to hear your feedback and share your voice on what home means in a changing Cayman. But before getting in today's discussion, the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for your specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. 345-936-8255 is the number to call and be a part of this discussion where everybody is welcome, appreciated, and your contribution definitely matters. Now, guess what? Cayman, the countdown is on. I don't know where you are, but I know where I'm at. And the countdown is on. Oh my God. Just 9 days left until Christmas Day. So I hope for all of you, the lights are already up. But guess what? Sales are on and the holiday spirit is everywhere. We're feeling it in the air. You're hearing it in the vibes. Every store you go, as we talk about identity change, and unity tonight. Just remember that as we talk about the identity change and unity, let's also remember the season of togetherness and hope as well, because it's only 9 days to go for Christmas Day. So stay tuned, because we'll keep the conversation going, as I promised last night, just before the end of that show. But just a brief reminder that International Lighting at Ed's Plaza North Sound Road and their Boddentown location is having its last big sale for 2025. So don't miss these huge savings on accessories, kitchen rugs, and curtains. He has excellent blackout curtains as well, and 24 and 32 piece bedspread sets. These bedroom sets actually come with bathroom mats and curtains as well. You know, they're all packaged in one, and even a clothes hamper in one of them as well. Yeah, so there's so much more down there at Edwards. You can't even name it all. And there's also that bonus. Remember, for every $50 you spend, you'll enter to draw and win, have a chance to win a round trip Cayman Airways ticket to any Cayman Airways destination that they fly. So shop today, big savings, and fly tomorrow. You could be that lucky winner. For more information, feel free to call Eddie and his crew down there. 345-949-5141 is the number for International Lighting, and they're open from 9 until 6. I know the holidays are here, so 6:30. Make sure you go down there. They're in that roundabout, right down there, the big Butterfield roundabout. So visit Ed's Plaza right there. Get your chance. What tell you may be that lucky winner of that airline ticket. Yeah, but I love going to Edward. Yeah, you know it. Could not miss it out. My family laugh at me because they know I have a thing with weather. And this is why it's such a pleasure for me to bring this to you. And forecasting is unpredictable, but let me tell you, these guys have been on the money. The synopsis calls for isolated showers that are expected across the Cayman area during the next 24 hours, as a cold front is expected to become stationary over the Western Cuba. In addition, moderate to locally fresh winds are expected as a ridge of high pressure builds behind this front across southeastern United States and increases the pressure gradient across the Cayman area. Now, satellite imagery shows scattered and numerous clouds across the Western Caribbean, with isolated thunderstorms noted south of Grand Cayman. As such, scattered showers are likely tonight and possible through Wednesday evening, as a surface trough and residual moisture from a frontal boundary lingers across the Western Caribbean. Now, the tides for today, there was a low tide at 2:37 this afternoon. There'll be a high at 7:18 tonight. A low tide for tomorrow is at 2:01 in the morning, and a high tide at 9:06 in the morning. Sun will set at 5:49 this evening, and sun will rise tomorrow morning, at 6:53. Now, the outlook calls for similar weather conditions through Friday morning. So there you have it for all of you who are taking half day, getting your shopping spree on, or just taking some time to pamper yourself before the long cooking days and welcoming your family from overseas, or dropping those off who are going somewhere, or maybe yourself. You could be packing up and going off for the holidays yourself. Government schools are out, I think, on Friday. So you know what's going to happen with traffic on Friday, as all of these schools now come to an end and the kids are out. And big shout outs to all of them who get their little Christmas jobs there, and kudos to all the employers who give these young men and women opportunities during the holiday season to make extra bucks. And we appreciate all of you for what you do. I see all of you in the perfume stores, and even some of you are wrapping those gifts. I applaud you, young men and women, starting into knowing what the working world is like. And thank you to your parents and guardians for encouraging you as well to to get a job. But no different today. Guess what? We got some VIPs celebrating birthday today. VIPs of the Sabrina Speaks all the way in the UK. Yeah, look at my girl, Vernita. Vernita's celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, Vernita. Over there in the UK, you are a blessing. Thank you for the beautiful scriptures that you send. May you live to see many, many more. And God's Blessings to you. Help us share birthday celebrations with Fernita here, all of us at the CMRTV.com family, and definitely here on the Sabrina Speaks platform. We're wishing you all the best on your special day. Today is your day, girl. And also to a very special lady as well, Nurse Taylor. Anybody remembers this lady? She used to work in pediatrics. Yes, at the Georgetown Hospital back in the day. Yeah, Nurse Taylor, Nurse Helen Taylor is also celebrating her birthday. I think she's now moved back to Nicaragua. I stand to be corrected. Huge, huge birthday greetings out to you, my love. You're looking fabulous on your birthday. Thank you for reaching out to me. It's always a pleasure. I worked with this lady. She was one of my mentors back in the day when I was doing my rotations on the ward. That was in 1990. 91, 92, around there. And she was instrumental in showing me the ropes in my nursing when I was on the floor. So happy birthday to you. God bless you always. And I'm hoping that you are having a wonderful, wonderful birthday and many more to come. So yeah, there you go. Sabrina Speaks family. Let's give them all a happy birthday shout out and many, many more to come. Let's see who's here. I know Marshall. I saw you, my boyfriend. How you doing? Good evening to you, my dear. It is a pleasure to have you. Yeah, but this is the love of my life. Jimbo, good afternoon. Yes, it's always good to have you with us, all of you from the Sabrina Speaks family. Darlene, how you doing? And Connie Bonnie stayed with us to the end last night. What a putter. What a bangarang, huh? Connie, that was good. But I loved it. I love it for all of you who stayed on with me last night. The conversation was, we had three dynamic. There was a line that called them, there was a comment that called them the amazing team or whatever. We had three strong personalities, three Caymanians on last night that participated in the discussion. And I applaud them all for holding it together despite it getting a little spicy. We all came together at the end of the night. The conversation continued until 8 o'clock, respectfully at the end of the day when everybody simmered down and pretty much, and it was just exactly what I dreamt of for agreeing to disagree. And the conversation continues this evening, and all are welcome to participate. But Connie Bonnie was there. Everyone who stayed on, I appreciate you. And I thank you all for seeing exactly and respecting the space. It proves exactly there's power in numbers, but we can't get anywhere without unity and just agreeing to disagree no matter what. At the end of the day, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that's the only how we're going to navigate this space. Is a call for unity, a call for freedom of speech when it comes to voicing your opinions and accepting it here. I'm here to navigate it. I'm here to keep it in line and peacekeeper and just getting maximum out of showcasing, highlighting us. There are going to be some emotive topics. I told you guys that. And you're going to see things from different sides. And nobody is wrong at the end of the day. When it comes to their opinion, everyone is entitled to it. And this is the space for it. And we respect everyone here. But 345-936 is the number to call at any time to join in on the conversation. Once I can patch you in, you're all invited to join in. We don't want anybody to be scared. We don't want anybody to feel as though this is why I don't want to speak because I could be wrong. There is nothing wrong. And even if you've misunderstood something, that's fine. That's why we're in this space together. We're learning together as we grow together in unity. That's the key, in unity, because we have to coexist together. Hey, Donna, good evening to you. All the best to you as well. Happy holidays. Good evening, Auntie Sabrina. Kinder, gentler world. And yes, the entire SS crew. That's right. There you go. Yeah. What a date. What date is Christmas again? Asking for a friend. You have Google it. I'm quite sure it'll be more than happy to feed that out to you. Lavana, how are you, my sweet? Yes. How are you doing? How are you mending? I hope all is going well with you. I saw Donnie comment the other day. I hope that she's doing well as well. Hey, Tartarian, I'm at home. I have not bought one thing. Guess what? I still have money and my rent will be paid. All right. Tartarian, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. Go pay your rent, my love, and just whatever floats your boat. You remember, we had an earlier episode on the pressures of the holidays and just being realistic. And if you remember right, I said I enjoyed more experiences. Was it Miss Rose? I think Miss Rose had says that she had nothing, or it was Miss Barbara. I stand to be corrected. Anyhow, somebody says all she got is a plate of food. And that's all she's going to give her family. And she obviously will be embracing experiences. And I somewhat have taken that stance this year myself. It's more about experiences, which is why I told you all I went out on Saturday night with my family. And we just went and we support, now that I'm on that topic, we went rub-a-dub. This was the cup I was telling you guys about. Nice cup, very nice. And it's blingy, blingy. Yeah. So kudos to all of the promoters of that event. And that was one of the experiences that I just decided to do with family. And we plan to do a little bit more of those next week as we lead into the holidays. And there are going to be times that we just meet at each other's house and just sit down and just shoot crap and just have fun. That's what it's all about. So good for you, Tartarian. Hold that money, because plenty of them gonna be crying come January when them credit card bills come in. Hi, Annie Banny, how you doing? Can you please just leave my Jim alone? He mine. You pack that man up and you let him go. So you leave me alone. You gotta win your way back into Jim. I stayed on with their life, Connie. So you lost him. Yeah. What's the saying go? One man's trash is another one's treasure. I got him now, girl. Jim, would you ever imagine you would have two ladies just fighting for you here? Up for the world to realize that? Oh my God. All in public space, but it's all good here. All good fun. Alfred, good evening. Thank you very much. I do. It is the holidays. I try to put myself together with the festive colors. And I got to tell you a little joke, Alfred. Anashim. My hair's curled and everything for you guys, and I put her up so she wouldn't get wet. And then I realized I liked the little look. So I kept it up so I could show off the dress. That's the joke for today. So really, truly, if I let down the hair, but I had like the look because it shows off the dress. Yeah, but thank you for noticing. Appreciate it very much. I do a lot. Try to put myself together to represent all the women and everybody here with respect. And again, it's all fun. You need to see what I'm wanting to wear on Friday, the 19th, which for those of you who missed the memo, that'll probably be the last live episode for Sabrina Speaks for the season this Friday. I will probably just be doing random pop-ups here and there, but I'm letting you guys know Friday I got something special. I'm trying to still arrange some nice little giveaways for that episode. So that will be it for the season. I don't want to hear it, Connie. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So yeah. But so let's see what we can pull off for Friday, just for a little fun. Marshall, I couldn't get to log on other links, so I missed it. Oh, really? Just look at the you know what I could do then? Just look for me if these conversations continue. Just look for me on look for Sabrina Turner, Facebook, a community activist, and you'll find me there. And also the Sabrina Speaks show is on YouTube. I'm also there as well. And now if the feed broke, I would have to know that afterwards. I wouldn't know that in real time because it's still showing on my side that I'm live. So I'm sorry about that, Marshall. But yeah, the conversation did go on till a little after 8. And it was really good too. All this division needs to stop, Dacia Bush. Every day we read it's us against them. I don't believe I've ever heard any other country talking about generational. This is generational this and generational that. Okay, I see what you're saying, Dacia. It is really getting toxic. I was shared with an experience that was witnessed at at an employment place, and it's not nice what's happening even in the workplace. There's one thing of defending your ground, but there's another, your country, when it comes to work. But when it comes with this attitude and this aggression, this anger, like, okay, this is the atmosphere that we're dealing with, and I gotta tell you, you ain't paying no work permit for me. I Caymanian and this and that, and it's like, oh my God, it is so embarrassing. And all they're doing is being given work to be done. And this is by no means carrying down a Caymanian. This is no way carrying down a Caymanian. It's the reflection on them themselves. And it is just pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing here, telling their superiors, you ain't paying no work permit for me. And you just can't make sense out of why the attitude recently, and it's not like anybody's after them in this particular case. There is a division, and it's more so from the Caymanians displaying certain behaviors at work that is really not a true reflection of what the law intended when it is claiming to protect Caymanians. That is not the behavior that was intended for this to do. We still have to coexist together, Dacia, but I'm telling you, you are quite right. All this division needs to stop, as you're posted here. Every day we read us that this is against them. I don't feel I've ever heard any other country talking about generational this and generational that. Like I said, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but some behaviors that are right now being displayed on the workplace, it is of poor taste, poor taste. I've known there's another incident where a government worker was at one of the local food joints just getting a bite to eat in their government uniform, and they were approached by a local, mind you, and when they realized the uniform that they were in, they were literally scoffed at about this person being in their government uniform and they not from here, and how they getting this get this government job. And they were literally in the person's face and they were unprovoked. That type of behavior is not what was intended into our society. And this civil servant in their uniform just went to pick up food, but their accent was not that of Caymanian, and they were verbally attacked. They were verbally abused in the civil servant's face. This is happening here in Cayman. And we have seen a proliferation of this happening with people that are unprovoked. If they don't look like us, they don't speak like us. And this is what is happening. Now, you may say, why don't they report it? People are not going to do that, unfortunately. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, Dacia, what you've said here is profound. And is this the erosion of protecting our identity as Caymanian? Is this what is going to happen? At what point do we just slow it down a little bit and just reassess exactly the behaviors that are happening? But I know that was not what government officials were looking to come about when we start talking about immigration reform. Because when you have unprovoked people being attacked, unprovoked, just because they don't sound Caymanian and they're in a government uniform getting their food, and they're being provoked that, what do you come here for? Take off that uniform. And I'm paraphrasing. What you here taking away my job? Not even understanding or not having any clue of the individual's immigration status. They may not look like us. They may not sound like us. But at that time, they have no clue of their immigration status. And that is not what this was all about. It is happening. It is blowing up. And it seems as though a lot of these persons who are actually being victims are not speaking out. And when you have people who are civil servants being attacked because they're in their uniform doing their job because they don't look and sound Caymanian. Houston, we have a problem. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fair to fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. I need to chime in. I felt called to chime in on this call.
Thank you.
And before I say what I have to say, I want to say I don't condone any of that foolishness. I think it's foolishness. I think it's outright disrespect. And it doesn't reflect, in my opinion, who we are as a people. Conversely, I will say we constantly hear about Caymanian versus expat, not being Caymankind. I hate to even say that, but not being Caymankind. But nobody ever talks about when it goes the other way. I'll give you my own example. I was in a workplace with an expatriate who was having a conversation. There's certain conversations I don't have at my job. It's politics, religion, and my children. And he kept pushing the conversation, and he would make very rude remarks on the floor, like, "You Caymanians, all of y'all," just in a derogatory. If there was something to attach us to that was derogatory, that's what he did, and got away with it. Might I add, got away with it. And I've been in my industry for about almost 20 years, and I've had colleagues of mine, I won't say friends, but colleagues of mine, they speak poorly about Caymanians in my presence. And there was, for some time, people didn't realize I was actually Caymanian. I don't know how that is, but that was the case. I don't know where they thought I was from, and I was just disgusted. And in one of the instances, I was like, and they referred to their comment as those Caymanians. They were speaking about Caymanians being lazy and ignorant, specifically lazy and ignorant. And I was like, "What the hell do you mean?" And I'm like, I said, "I'm Caymanian. I'm not lazy, nor am I ignorant. What are you talking about?" She said, "Well, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those Caymanians." What does that mean? What does that mean? Because, and I think I speak for the bulk of us. How many times have Caymanians been called lazy?
Oh God, yeah, every day.
Stupid, and those types of things. And there's a lot of passive aggressive behavior in workplaces that are demonstrated toward Caymanians. There's outright aggression demonstrated toward Caymanians, particularly in the workplace. There's also bullying within the workplace from expatriate toward Caymanians.
Bullying.
And absolutely. And I just find that when it happens that way, nobody wants to speak about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. You just sit down, shut up, because that person, more often than not, is senior, may not be your direct report, or may not even work with them, but on the hierarchy, on the company chart, they're a little higher than you. And for me, it's a little disheartening. Respect goes both ways. Again, not suggesting that this behavior is wrong, but Caymanians have been pushed out, shut out, and kept out of their own of industries that we've built for a very long time. And it's kind of hard to build a house and sit down and watch everybody else go in and come out giggling, laughing, and smiling, while you sit on the outside saying, "When will it be my turn to actually get inside?" And I think that I think all of this is as a result.
There's a sense of anger and hate that is developing because we're seeing what appears to be others coming here, getting opportunities at the bank, getting access to housing that we only dream of.
Getting access to everything, not just that.
Housing.
I mean, everything, opportunities that don't even come across the table for Caymanians, not for anything more than they're Caymanian. And I dare anyone to challenge that narrative. I was talking to a friend who isn't from here, and she just kind of said, but surely it must be very easy as a Caymanian to get a job.
Mm-mm.
And I looked at her and she was truly ignorant to the fact. I'm not ignorant. And I said to her, that really only exists in theory. And she looked at me as if, what do I mean? And I said, well, that really only exists in theory. That's a farce. Because I think we saw where one firm was systemically shutting out and overlooking Caymanian applicants.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big four. And what I'm saying is for every excuse me, for every roach that you see, there's 100 that you don't see.
It's true.
And if that type of stuff, and granted, they've said it was an oversight, we'll accept that. We have nothing to the contrary, so we have to accept it, whether we believe it to be the case or believe it to be fact or not. But I'm just saying, if that type of behavior was happening at that level, in that size of a corporation, what's happening in smaller enterprises,
Correct.
smaller businesses,
That is not
where
being
they're going
said.
completely unchecked, and that where the majority of them tend to be expatriates. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm just saying that the narrative, and I'm not trying to create a divide. And however, I just feel like the sentiment that anytime a Caymanian speaks up in defense of Cayman and Caymanians and express their pro-Caymanian sentiment, it's automatically seen as xenophobic or anti-expat, right? And me liking pepperoni pizza doesn't mean that I hate people that don't eat pepperoni pizza.
Siobhan, give me 1 second. I got an alert here to give. Just 1 second. Let me post this up. There's an urgent traffic advisory. We're asking for the public to avoid the east-west arterial. Detours are in place following, and if you have to actually traverse the east-west arterial from the vicinity of the Prospect Primary School, the resurfacing is going on. At one point, there is one lane that's completely closed. This is an official announcement from the Royal Cayman Islands Police, and we're just asking if you can avoid using the east-west arterial this evening, especially heading east. We're asking you to find an alternate route. And if you can't, please follow police instructions. So we're asking all of you, we know that the traffic is pretty bad out there. And if you're trying to wonder what's going on, I'm trying to get home. I have to deal with this coming down from the east in the morning. Now I'm dealing with it going up. There are road works that are being done right now in the vicinity of Prospect Primary School, Poindexter, there in that area. So we're asking you please to find an alternate route if you can avoid this area. Your cooperation is appreciated. Please continue, Siobhan.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. And I mean, again, I just want to say, to be clear, I'm not okay with it. I'm not suggesting that behavior from either of us, from Caymanians toward expats or vice versa, I'm not suggesting that any of it is okay. All of it is divisive. All of it creates a division, right? But surely, based on numbers alone, and thinking from a logical perspective, if there are more expatriates than Caymanians, chances are the opposite of what they're alleging being true is more likely.
What do you say now when there's, for some, there's an attitude now that is being developed at work? Well, I'm from here. You see what we doing, Anna here by work permit. And like they want to get a free pass for like sitting down at work. Like they're using it as a tool to just spew hate. What would you say to those Caymanians now who find themselves doing that now? Reminding people, look here, I'm from here, you on a work permit. You see what we doing, Anna? Like,
but truly you can't fix stupid.
Okay.
You can't fix stupid. right? To me, that's a very stupid way to behave. Stupid way to behave. And that speaks to me, that is a reflection of that individual, not a reflection of Cayman.
Exactly. That's what I don't
Caymanians
want
on a
people,
whole.
right. I don't
Right?
want
Cayman
everybody to
and
think that
Caymanians on a
represents
whole.
us. Mhm.
And it takes people like us to get up and say, this is not who we are. Not
Correct.
just to say it, but to also live it, to also do it, to also be it. Again, we can't completely place the onus on Caymanians to do it. This got to be a two-way street.
Mhm.
And it got to be reciprocal as well, at least in my opinion, right? And again, it's not suggesting that the response to what some Caymanians may be feeling, or whatever, not suggesting again that any of it is right. However, in a lot of cases, they feel backed into a corner. That is their only response. How many times have we not heard Jim from Canada, my boss Jim from Canada, came in and through the morning paper, I had someone take a coffee mug, and shove it across my desk. It was full of coffee because he was standing at my desk trying to get my attention, and I didn't actually see. He was like kind of in my peripheral, to be fair. Put his cup down and slid the cup across the desk with coffee in it. It spilled on my desk. How do you respond in those ways? If you don't know yourself, you would deck somebody, right? And these are the types of outright.
But how are you supposed to respond in that case when, like you said, it is reciprocal? That's disrespectful. You're not on a, no, that's a broad question. How would you respond in something like that? Because that's one, disrespectful, but two, all sorts of stuff is going through your head right now. You're like, I got to feed my kids. I got to keep my,
Exactly. Yeah, but this idea, right, that, and I hear that all the time, I need my job. You say you need your job as if the other person don't need theirs.
Correct.
Right? Everybody needs their job. Nobody came here to cock their foot up. Even people who've come here of means and wealth didn't come here to cock up their foot. They came here to make money, not friends. They came here to make money, not friends. And friends are a byproduct of the relationship, and they accept it.
But the thing of coexisting with different cultures coming in here, and the harsh reality that we are in the minority in our own country. And even when the stats are given now at the whatever 50-something%, that includes status holders.
Absolutely.
We're going to see cultures now overshadowing who we are as Caymanians. What do we do as a people to galvanize?
But when you leave where you from to come and join where I from, I think you have an obligation to assimilate. If where you came from was so grand, we to go back. Go back. Nobody invited you here. Nobody not begging you to stay.
But do you think that is why in forums like this, when we have Caymanians that are participating and willing to speak up, that this is a reflection of how people view us? Even when you go to certain watering holes and you speak about one another and in a bad way, and you don't know who is listening, that is something that we need to show that we're together as Caymanians more.
I think that we spoke about this yesterday as well. We are our own worst enemy. And you know what? A Caymanian will help you out of your job quicker than your foreign counterpart. I've seen it, right? And not for nothing more than they don't think that you deserve to have a 25 cent more than they have without even considering what you may have achieved, accomplished, and worked toward.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to merge your call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. You're live and you're merged.
Good evening, Sabrina. Good evening, Siobhan. How are you both?
Good evening.
Oh my God, I can feel that smile.
It's my Margot boyfriend who I don't even know.
What's on your mind?
My radio boo.
What's on your mind, my love?
No, I was just listening to Siobhan.
He wants to agree with me.
I was listening to
happy
Siobhan.
wife, happy life.
So they say, right? don't know if that was a proposal or what, but anyway.
Okay.
But but yeah, you know, I'm hearing what Siobhan is saying, and I'm hearing the hurt and the anger and the frustration in that, you know, it's like feeling like Caymanians are in a lose, especially when it comes to bullying at work and discrimination at work, right? But I mean, I just want us to be careful that, you know, it's not all expats or all Caymanians. This is about power, poor management, and weak accountability, right?
You're spot on.
Say that again.
You're spot on.
So, putting myself in
Caller?
I mean,
Caller, just
hello?
let me give an update right here. I just got confirmation that the East-West Arterial Road is now reopened, but they now have accidents that have happened that has further compounded the traffic situation. So again, yeah, I will upload these details as the conversation continues. If I get images, I will put them up there. But I know just moments ago, I had stated that, okay, here it is. NRA has confirmed that the East-West Arterial is now being reopened. However, there is currently an accident in the Prospect area. Motorists are asked to proceed with caution, slow down, and be extra alert when traveling through the area. If you're involved in an, okay, yeah, there we go. So there we have it. The road has now been reopened, and I will upload a video shortly. Please continue. Thank you for that as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I too have had an incident at work. Fortunately, it was only one, but I nipped that in the bud, so it only happened the one time. A colleague was quote unquote making a joke about same thing like what Siobhan is talking about, you know, Caymanians being lazy and Caymanians being stupid or unintelligent. I didn't want to use the word stupid, but yeah, basically that, right? And you know, I stood up for myself and I said, you know, and I mean it's hard because sometimes you want to be unprofessional, but I made a vow that nobody was going to draw me out of my professionalism, and then I thereby prove in whoever's eyes the stereotype of, you know, the rude or thinking Caymanians. But I put the person in their place, and memory serves correctly. I think I asked them. I said, and what is this? Like, what purpose do these comments make?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then, you know, they try to gaslight me. Oh, you know, I was just joking. And I said, well, if it's a joke, explain what's funny about Caymanians being lazy or unintelligent. They couldn't say anything. Oh, wait a minute. And then what I did, I went to my desk and I documented it and I sent it in an email to them. Right? Following our conversation at X time, I'm requesting we keep communication respectful and task focused. I did not appreciate the joke you made about XYZ. And then I copied in my supervisor, I copied in their supervisor. That never happened again.
Mm-hmm.
I went straight to HR in my incident. I went straight to HR. But again, what I'm saying is, but Caymanians are expected to be the docile, take it on the chin. It's a joke. And all I'm saying is the playing field is simply not level. If we had made a joke in the other direction, it would have not been taken that way. We would have not gotten an opportunity to correct it. And I stand with you and I implore all Caymanians. My dad always says, let nothing come between you and your money. Meaning, they go low, sometimes you gotta go a little high. It's kind of hard. And I'm not suggesting that it isn't, but you can't. I don't think that we have to ensure that at all costs, we're not living up to the stereotype that they've placed on us. We didn't create that stereotype. They did. If Caymanians were so lazy, they wouldn't have the empire that they came and found. So I reject that in its entirety.
I'd like to get your feedback. I'm going to read 3 comments and I'll invite both of your feedbacks on it. Tartarian says, people do not create division. If some things do not go wrong in the system caused the division and the fault is on both sides. Then I have a Tracy Walter that says, well, they have one Caymanian with the last name Webster getting all her Caymanians out of a job. She's a horrible person. She's on her fourth Caymanian, bullying them till they resign. And then Tartarian comes back. The system created the division, not the people. Had Caymanians been treated fairly from day one, there would be no division. What say either or both of you on those three comments?
Can I speak to that first?
Ladies first.
All right. I'll give you an example. Back in 2012, there was a company who was at that, 2012, who was at that time the longest, the oldest corporate services provider in the Cayman Islands. And I think it was number 3 in the Cayman Islands in terms of their founding time. They're a prominent company. The company was subsequently sold onto a private equity firm, and there it started to take its death shortly thereafter. However, in the middle of the acquisition, the Caymanian HR person, we later found out, was being given, let's not say a bonus, but she was being incentivized to get Caymanians to agree to a package. And she kind of phrased it in a way that it would be in our best interest, and anything that they offered would be worth our while. And, just bear in mind that she had other options, right? That just doesn't happen at an acquisition level. That happens on every level. That happens when they don't like you. That happens when you come too close to their post. That happens when you upskill yourself. That happens when you retool, retrain, upscale. It happens. You get a new car, it happens. You get a place, it happens. Right? Again, for me, we are our own worst enemy. I've been in management, and I've been in management for a little while. And I will say this, anybody who's come across me, who's worked with me, may feel different. I don't know. But the sentiment that I've received is not that. I think I have an obligation to train Caymanians upward, for upward mobility. I have an obligation to train the people coming behind me to be better than me. If you beat the best, then I think you're pretty good. And that's not the sentiment anymore. I don't know what happened, and I don't know when it changed, but you heard that person's comment that said a Caymanian putting Caymanians out of a job.
They further responded saying that they did speak up, and she spoke on behalf of all persons that left, and they told her that I would ruin her career and reputation. I left and couldn't do it anymore. So here's another Caymanian had to leave amongst other Caymanians from a workplace that a Caymanian just made the environment so hostile that they could not stay. Now, who do you blame for that when we're trying to protect Caymanian identity?
A fish rots from the head. A fish rots from the head. No single person should have that amount of power. But I actually seen a similar thing in a very large organization where one person was single-handedly, cherry picking and kicking people out of their jobs. Like if you spit into the wind, she had a problem. If you put a comma after good morning, she had a problem. She nitpicked. And honestly, in my opinion, it was simply competition. Here comes a new person, fresh blood, somebody who is younger than me. I've spent 25 years at this job. This is how far I've made it. She's only just been in the industry 5 years, and she is on my tail. They don't want, in a lot of instances, I call them old heads, they don't want young Caymanians to come up because they see it as themselves being displaced. And I don't think that it should be viewed as such. I mean, you have older Caymanians, and for some it makes sense, but for others it doesn't. Existing in what I consider entry-level roles forever and a day. They ain't bothered to get themselves a little certification. They ain't bothered to get themselves another, they ain't trying to do no better. They're content with that, and to a level that to an extent, I guess that's okay. And whatever your destiny is what it is. However, we still have to make room for people coming behind us who, for whatever reason, that may be the role that they also have to take up, and that may be the only role that they will be able to take advantage of. But if you've been up in there 30 odd years, you ain't even bothered to try to get yourself even out of that chair. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Let's get the other caller's point of view on this, on those remarks, statements.
I mean, just to piggyback off of Siobhan just now. I mean, as she was speaking and talking about the old head, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, and I didn't see this in my time coming into the world of work, but I've heard that there was a time 40 and 50 years ago where it was enough to go into a job and saying I'm Caymanian, and you ended up either in a middle management position or very quickly working your way up a middle management position with a nice salary, and there they stayed for 30, 40, 50 years. But now when you have somebody like Siobhan now who is Caymanian, but Siobhan is also highly qualified and highly experienced, and now, she's coming up. I mean, the old heads now are going to look at Siobhan as a threat, right? So I hear what Siobhan is saying. To Tartarian's comment, though, I mean, I get what Tartarian is saying. I mean, a lot of the tension we're seeing isn't because ordinary people just wake up wanting conflict, but it comes from the systems and decisions that were made over time. Cayman didn't just wake up here in 2025 in this situation. We're now seeing the results of decisions and policies that were made 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we're probably not going to see
the impact,
the
full
impacts
impacts
for another 10, 20, 30 years.
Correct,
right?
correct.
So who have gotten the opportunities in those 30, 40 years? How were wages and housing managed? How work permits were enforced? Whether Caymanians felt protected in their own labor market and culture. So I hear what Tartarian is saying, but at the same time, even if the system created the pressure, we still have a choice in how we respond. And I think that's what Siobhan is saying, right? We can demand fairer policy and better enforcement without turning it into, hate the people who came or the line we hear a lot, like, come here by plane, you come here by plane, right? And because many expats are also just trying to build a life and follow the rules as they find them.
Correct.
So, I mean,
which is why sometimes they feel as though they should just stay in their corner. They come here to, let's say, work. They have ended up being here now 15, 20 years. Yeah. But then they stay, and then they have pretty much adopted that mindset where they're pigeonholed. And even when they become Caymanian status holder, they remain like that. They don't.
Well,
some.
Can I make a point? I want to make a point about that status holder and this thing. I don't like the term generational Caymanian, though it comes from. I think it comes from a good place, because what does that term even mean? Oh, well, my generation, I can count back 8 generations to generational Caymanian. Okay, so what about the Caymanian that can only count back 7 generations? I mean, does it make you more Caymanian than them? Or what about the Caymanian that have more generations than you? I mean, like at what point?
Well, I think going by what we saw by the definition, I think it just basically said if you had a parent or grandparent who was Caymanian, and I don't think, I am personally for that generational Caymanian thing. It's not about division, but it's about feeling a sense of belonging. It does make a difference to me. I do want to be distinguished. I do want to be set apart. I wear it as a badge of honor. I want my children to know that this is their land, this is where they came from, this is where their mama from, this is where the grandparents from, this is where the great-grandparents from, and as far back as we can go. That's important to me. If that makes someone who came here uncomfortable, that's a them problem, because that's not my intention. How you receive what I said when I had no ill intent, I have no control over that. Now, what you say it, how you say it. And if you understand the intention, nobody gets up in arms that Native Americans are referred to as Native Americans.
Well, guys, I did tell you that last night when I was reading that was the first time I opened it. And I had a little time to go through it today. And pretty much what I got in simple terms, I'm just trying to consolidate it because it goes into a lot of detail, right? This petition is asking, really, the takeaway that I got from it is asking for Caymanians constitution to formally recognize native generational Caymanians. And what that means is that Caymanians whose families have lived here for generations, I think at this point it goes back to what, 1930s? For generations, for not just those who become Caymanians through status grants or residency, right? But then you have the critics then that worry that some dysfunction could be divisive. And they are asking the question, would this create two classes then, as you two are alluding to? So there's one thing that says safeguarding identity and heritage. It's a delicate balance.
But they're already two classes. We already have. You a status holder. I mean, bar Denny's comments regarding, the legalities behind it. Just thinking of the ordinary common person, because you ain't going to tell my grandparents. I understand Denny's legal argument and his commentary. You never tell my grandparents that they're status holders. I can just tell you that right now, because they would slap the hell out of you. But I am offended that I fall in that acknowledgement, get status kind of thing. I'm offended that somebody's going to require me to have Caymanian status stamped in my Cayman passport. I ain't doing that. My children ain't doing that. I ain't doing it. I think it's absurd. However, that's the lay of the land. That's how it is. It hasn't stopped me from achieving or accomplishing anything in this almost 40 years. I think I'll be okay.
That because the statistics has us as being outnumbered in our own country, that there needs to be this actual distinction, this clear legal definition that protects the remainder of us? Do you feel that is why? Because it's one thing, right? This petition came out of nowhere after the Great Immigration Reform Phase 1 took place on Friday. And obviously that was all supported in the House by the majority. And I've just added Denny onto the show. So, and out of nowhere, then this petition comes about. It's as further protection. We had Mr. Balika saying yesterday in his opinion that maybe they are actually worried that it didn't do enough and they feel they have to go this further to solidify. Good evening, caller. Welcome. It's three-way caller.
Sabrina, can I just make
Go
a
ahead.
point before Danny hops on?
Go ahead.
I mean, I hear what Siobhan is saying, and again, I'm with Siobhan on it, right? But then, okay, talking about putting this into legislation, all right. Let's look at our cousins up north, the USA, right? It's defined by law that a Native American is a person who can prove that they have at least 1/8 Native American blood in them. Okay?
Correct.
All right. Well, then what are the benefits of being a Native American? I think they don't pay tax.
Yes, they don't.
And they have land protections and such. It's a bit deeper than that.
All right. So in putting this into law and in saying that Caymanian, okay, well, we're going to define a generational Caymanian as XYZ. What are the legal benefits that will be entitled to us, that will be afforded to us? That I mean, is it just to have a name that's distinct?
I think as is right now, Caymanians pay a lesser stamp duty, a reduced stamp duty. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. For the first time homeowners is zero, and there. I don't know if there's another tranche of benefits.
There's a little bit,
but
I
remember
like where you go.
But remember, now we all.
Boyfriend, I like where you're going with that, because if they define it, then they're gonna give us a little something on the side.
But this is my point, because here's the thing: because a status holder can apply for that same waiver that a native Caymanian,
because
sort of, right?
But what other benefit would there be to merit putting a distinction in law to say, well, a native Caymanian or a generational Caymanian is a Caymanian who count back, 2, 3, 4 generations?
I could answer
what's the merit? Sorry, Dennis. For me, it's just pride. That may sound silly, but for me, it is important. And I feel grounded. It makes me feel good. If it's I mean, some people may say, "Oh, that's just an illusion," and that sounds wacky, but for me, it's that. So as far as what I've been, what I'm also saying is, if there's no great distinction in it, or it doesn't carry any weight, why do Caymanians or expatriates who've obtained Caymanian status, why do they say, and I'm so sick of hearing it, the Caymanian status ain't nothing to you, give it back. I'm Canadian, but I have status. I'm American, but I have status. I'm South African, but I have status.
But they're not going to give it back, Siobhan, as long as they're benefiting from it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So if I create a distinction, that seemingly excludes them, I'm xenophobic. But if they create their own distinction that I guess could be seen as discriminatory, as long as they're doing it against themselves, that's okay. That's stupid.
But do you think that automatically came about because they were never felt inclusive? Devil's advocate.
No.
Well, this is what I wanted to. I wanted to finish up my thing. In addressing Tartarian's comment, right? So, in terms of fixing the system, yes, fix the system. You can do things like publish clear data, enforce standards, build real Caymanian training, promotion pathways, align population growth with infrastructure, and there, and other methods to make sure that Caymanians aren't sidelined. But while we push for that, we have to keep the conversation firm on fairness, but soft on people, or the division is going to become self-fulfilling. So the question I have for Tartarian would be, and I know this is not where you want to go, but just to put it out for Tartarian, when you say treated fairly, what's the top priority you change first? Is it hiring and promotion rules, wages, housing affordability, immigration enforcement? I want people to stick with that question. All right, now I'm listening.
Okay, Danny.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so what's the purpose of having a definition between the Caymanian and for the other term that people call paper Caymanian, which technically means a new Caymanian, according to how I would define it. The difference between what's existing in law, not something that we have to create, but something that we should properly label, so that when we write legislation, the conversation about the subject and the wording of the legislation could be simplified with proper labeling. I do not like the term generational Cayman. That if you look at, I don't remember the exact phrase that they use, but at the very top of the petition page, you have generational Caymanian, I think it is /indigenous / something, right? You know how wording.
They're making their point, Danny. They're making their point.
Yeah, but that's not the problem with that is that's going to take us down the road of you having your label and everybody else having their little label, and that's not what we should be doing. What we should be doing.
Why not, Denny? Tell us why not.
I'm going to tell you why right now. The existing distinction in the immigration law is between a type of Caymanian who can run for elected office.
27 and 28, I have it here. I was trying to screenshot it. I have section 27, Caymanian as of right. Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Caymanian as of right in accordance to the Immigration Transition Act of 2022 revision says, in this part, Caymanian as of right means a child, born on or after the 1st of January 2004, whether in or outside of the islands at the date of whose birth at least one of that person's parent was settled in the islands and was Caymanian. B, born outside the islands after the 1st of January 2004 at the date of whose birth at least one parent of that person's parents was Caymanian, otherwise by descent, or C, acquiring the status of Caymanian under Section 21 of the repealed immigration law 2015 revision, or under any earlier law conferring the same or similar rights. And then it goes into Section 28. Let me see if I can put this 27 up. Go ahead.
Okay. So 27, all of what is being described there is what the people who want to call it generational Caymanian want, with one exception. If you look at the petition very carefully, it excludes people who are born outside of the Cayman Islands to Caymanian parents. Now, I know they make reference to ancestry, but where the contradiction comes in is that at the very top of the page, it says you have to meet all of the following criteria. And the first criteria you have to meet is you must be born in the Cayman Islands, which is slightly different from what's in the existing law that Sabrina just read, which is 27 of the Act. That is a Caymanian by right, meaning you have a Caymanian connection. Section 28 of the Act is where you become a Caymanian without having a connection.
I'm pulling that up.
And what that type of Caymanian should be called is a new Caymanian. And the reason for the distinction is because both have Caymanian status, which is why the word Caymanian should be in it. And secondly, the reason it should be new Caymanian is because someone who has Caymanian status but does not have it because of an ancestral connection to the island cannot or is not eligible to run for elected office. So the distinction is between whether you can run for election or whether you can't run for election. Would you, I think your name is Alfred, right? would you,
You can call me whatever you want, just not call me Fonny, that's all right.
Sabrina's future boo.
On getting me mixed up on a blender.
I'm just kidding.
That's fine. I take it. We're good.
All right. So, short. I meant to say Siobhan.
Oh, Siobhan.
What badness on a saying about me?
That way Siobhan went quiet. She was jealous.
What badness on a saying about me?
So, what do you think about that as a justification? Because, in other words, what I'm saying is, we're not creating this situation. We're saying this situation already exists.
Agreed.
It's just not properly labeled.
There's 28 on the screen, which is pretty lengthy because it spills over. See a portion of 28.
Just read the basic concept, not all of the.
Well, it's pretty much acquisition of the right to be Caymanian is this is the one that is decided upon by the board. And these ones is for anyone who has reached the age of 18 and let's say they have been outside the islands for a big portion of their life, but they still have, because they're over the age of 18, they can prove that they're the child or grandchild of a Caymanian born here in the Cayman Islands. And outside that, they wouldn't be able to be entitled to the right to be Caymanian.
Sorry, is it 28 or 29?
28.
No, the one I'm thinking about is where you're not a Cayman, where you don't have a connection. Did I get that section wrong?
29. You see, 28 is inclusive of all of that. Persons may apply to the director of work to the this be 29. Who 29 for context, persons may apply to the director of work for the right to be Caymanian who was born in the islands between March 27, 77. No, it's 29, Danny, because those are the ones, anybody who don't have no connection but have been here based on the grounds of residence. That is the one where you can get it on the grounds of naturalization, marriage, or and descent is also there. So it's 29 that covers that. Yeah, it's a combination.
So that'd be the new Caymanian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is that when you hear me say I think that we should have these definitions called Caymanian
Grounds of
and
naturalization.
Caymanian, I'm not trying to create something that is new. And when politicians get on the radio and say that, well, that would be creating division, the question I would have for those politicians is that if you think that the existing law, because this is what I'm describing is the existing law, right? If you think that that's divisive, then how come you didn't propose that that be amended in this round of amendment, right? Because you must agree with the division if you didn't do anything about it.
How do you know they understood?
Well,
just asking
Oh,
a
you know
question.
they had time?
If they didn't understand, then maybe they shouldn't run in the next election.
No, but that's a fair question.
No, yeah, I know. But these people are lawyers.
Okay, your question, Denny, in section 28, subsection 4, where they don't have any ties, it's a person who's a British overseas territory citizen. So this is persons who acquire Caymanian status, let's say through the permanent residency section, then got naturalized, and then is later able to apply for the right to be Caymanian as a BOTC, British Overseas Territory Citizen, because they have been proven that they have been resident in the islands for at least 15 years at the time of submission. So it is section 28, subsection 4 of the current Immigration Transition Act of 2022.
Okay.
So then you still want me to answer him, or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So listening to Denny and reading what's on the screen, right? I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm going off track, but in my mind, there are two different things that are getting mixed together in this conversation, right? One, why the law needs a definition of Caymanian or right to be Caymanian, and two, whether Cayman should create an extra separate legal class like generational Caymanian or new Caymanian, like what Denny is suggesting, right?
I wasn't suggesting that. I'm against that. I agree with you that I don't.
Sorry. I apologize. Like what you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
A legal definition is basically the gate, quote unquote, for rights and obligations that the state must administer consistently, right? And in Cayman's immigration framework, quote unquote, Caymanian is a legal status. We're not just talking about a cultural identity. And the Immigration Transition Act spells out that a Caymanian, quote unquote, is someone with Caymanian status, and it also sets categories for how that status is held. So you got things like Caymanian as of right, Caymanian by grant, by entitlement, etc. Right? That clarity matters because other parts of public life hinge on it. Most obviously, we talk about things like who can vote, who can stand for election. Right, which is tied to being Caymanian under the Constitution and the election rules.
Right.
Now, even when everybody ends up legally Caymanian, the country, the state may still track how someone became Caymanian because it affects things like which route or which criteria apply to them. We talk about things like birth parent connection versus residency and investment and all those things. It affects things like administration and record keeping. And sometimes when it comes to revoking status or the appeal procedures. So the distinction isn't automatically about who is more Caymanian. Often it's about how the law is administered. Now, in the context of this, in our earlier conversation, in my opinion, where it gets socially and potentially legally explosive is if, quote unquote, generational Caymanian is used to create different tiers of rights among Caymanians. So, again, this is why I brought up the point earlier. What benefit? What is the benefit from creating a definition that for people who are Caymanian, quote unquote, born and bred? Are you going to be reserving political power? Is there going to be land rights? We're going to get priority benefits for one subclass. And that's exactly the kind of move that some petitions call for, and it's why people worry it formalizes a two Cayman society, right? And then practical problems then also follow fast. But now you got to run into things like, okay, well, proving your lineage, going back to what I said. Well, how Caymanian are you? How far back can you go?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can count back 5. Oh, well, I can count back 6 generations. Oh, well, I can count back 8 generations, right? Then what about things like handling adoptions, step families? What about people of mixed heritage? What about, fairness for Caymanians by grant who've contributed for decades?
Mm-hmm.
And then the social stigma of this now labeled new Caymanian.
Well, I've just put on the
For me-
screen. I've just put on the screen the definition under the current Immigration Act of Caymanian, which is the only definition that is there, right? And that means a person who possesses Caymanian status under the repealed Immigration Law of 2015 revision or any earlier law providing for the same or similar rights, and includes a person who acquired that status under Part 5, which is all the other sections that you alluded to, caller.
Okay,
Well,
so
for me, if the real aim is to protect Caymanian identity and opportunity, I think that we can already do a lot without creating a second-class Caymanian category.
no,
Strong enforcement.
Wait a second. Let me rewind. Listen carefully. The labels that I am referring to do not create classes of Caymanians. The classes of Caymanians already exist in law.
Mm-hmm.
One is called Caymanian as of right and Caymanian by grant. It might make you feel better, but those are 2 separate classes of Caymanians. I am saying that you use the label to properly describe what it is because both are Caymanian. The distinction in law, constitutional, there is a prohibition constitutionally against someone who would be labeled as a new Caymanian, which is currently described in existing legislation as a Caymanian as by grant. I'm not creating a category that causes division. I am suggesting we put a label on it that simplifies the conversation and simplifies writing of legislation so that people can understand what the law is actually saying.
Then I understand that, but remember that we're also talking about a wider conversation in terms of the social fabric. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the legal thing, but we're also having people don't live in law books. People live within groups. But let me ask you this, Denny. Let me ask you this. So, or anybody who can answer. So, looking at what Sabrina has on the screen, Section 27, Caymanian as of right means a child born on or after the 1st of January 2004, whether in or outside the islands, at the date of whose birth at least one of the person's parents was settled in the islands and was Caymanian. I have a question for you then. So let's say Siobhan and I are married. Sorry, Siobhan, I'm just using you as an example. And both of us come from Timbuktu. And we both came here, we both work here, and we both gained the title of New Caymanian. We have a child. What label does that child now become Caymanian as of right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's existing law.
Okay. So, all right. You know what? I'll go ahead and go on.
Okay, so what the problem that I have with what you're putting forward is that people would be thinking, well, I don't want to be seen as being different. Well, okay, if you kept the label that is there now, Caymanian by grant, it doesn't change the fact that you're a different class of Caymanian. It might make you feel better about it, but it doesn't change the reality. And you see, this is the point that I'm making. People are not properly understanding what is actually being said in law. For example, Sabrina, could you read the definition of what a Caymanian is for us?
Sure, I have it right up here. Caymanian definition in accordance to the current law means a person who possesses Caymanian status under the Repeal Immigration Law of 2015 revision or any earlier law providing the same and similar rights, and includes a person who acquired that status under Part 5. Now, for you to understand what our Part 5 is all of the other sections that we quoted on the grounds of descent, naturalization, and some of these things that we have had here earlier.
Okay,
For context.
So Alfred, if I was to say to certain Caymanians who are thinking of themselves as generational Caymanians back 14 generations with my umbilical cord buried in South Sound. If I was to say to them that they have...
Then you say it the Caymanian way, my neighbor string bury ya. Say it so. What kind of Caymanian you is now, Denny?
well, maybe I'm not. By the time the generational Caymanians are finished,
be so diluted.
But okay, so if I was to say to one of them that all you have is Caymanian status, what do you think they would say to me? Because Siobhan doesn't think that she has Caymanian status, according to the conversation that we had yesterday. And Sabrina just read the definition of what it means to be a Caymanian. It means that you have Caymanian status. You see, when you say I'm Caymanian, that's an abbreviated term. It means I am a person with Caymanian status. That's what it means to be a Caymanian.
Under the current law, yeah. And it was not amended. Yeah, and it wasn't amended in the transition. I went to there to see if that was the transition amendment. There is no indication where that definition was amended.
And when a person who doesn't have any ancestral connections to Cayman becomes a Caymanian, what they're obtaining is the same Caymanian status, except they're in a different class. And that class doesn't allow them to run for elected office. And so you could argue, well, I don't want that label, but that doesn't change the fact that we have two classes of Caymanians. I'm just wanting to have an honest conversation about our reality. And the reason why that is necessary is because if you're going to formulate thought about where you want to move from where we are, you first need to understand where we are. And this is where we are.
Interesting.
Any comment?
Think you lost them there.
They're
in shock.
No, man, I'd like to hear what Siobhan has to say. Yeah. Is she online too or no?
Guys, that's very embarrassing, right? You're afraid.
Man, and you're not inviting us?
That's what I'm smelling.
I was listening, but I wasn't.
All right, so Siobhan.
Taking it all in.
All right, so Siobhan, let me ask you this then, right? In light of the legal definition and what Denny said on the thing, right? Okay. I use us as an example, as me and you being together and coming from Timbuktu and, becoming paper Caymanians, right? We then have a child. So we're Caymanian by law. We have a child who is born here on these shores.
Yeah. I heard all of that part.
All right,
I understood all of that part.
All right. So my question to you is now, right? Does that child now have the right to use the term generational Caymanian, even if they're only one generational Caymanian?
I don't know, because I think that when I was looking at the definition, it said
one or more.
I think it said,
so yes, they would be under that term. It's one or more.
However, that those parents obtained Caymanian status. Those parents obtained Caymanian status. So would that actually make that child a generational Caymanian? And I think, and at least
What the
But
petition,
you
sorry.
see, this is
What-
the problem, though.
What the petition said is that it has to go back to 1930.
1930.
That's what the petition
Okay.
said.
So
So,
so Mike,
technically
hold on. Let
possible,
me finish.
but only a small number of people would fall in that category.
In other words, you have to trace it as far back. That lineage
Yeah.
has to be traced
Yeah, yeah.
back to as far back as 1930.
So
I read that on my way to bed last night.
So then my question is, right? So let's look forward now 50 years, 100 years. Siobhan and my grandchildren and great grandchildren and this and that, and you know, they found their partners here. They had children here.
Mm-hmm.
We're now in the year. What year are we in now? We're now in the year
2050.
2025,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now me and Siobhan came from Timbuktu, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, Siobhan looked pretty young, but I mean, Siobhan, were you born at 1930?
About there.
Okay, all right. Well, if neither of us are born 1930, I mean, those great grandchildren that we have in the year 2125, do they get to call themselves generational Caymanian?
If they could,
No, but
if
no,
they
no,
could
but
trace
if,
their
but if they
lineage
can be
back
new,
to that, to
yeah, but
1930.
but if they get to be new Caymanian, I mean, let us have something. Let them eat cake, but let me have something. I don't understand.
Siobhan, I love you like cook food. I love when you call in, but I can't. I have a problem with the term generational Caymanian. I think
it doesn't.
I think we run into a whole lot of. And again, I like when Danny talks. Danny talks from the legal standpoint, but again, like people don't just live
Mm-hmm.
in law books. People live in the real world, you know. So when people start,
people want it.
Well, no, but when people start using terms like generational Caymanian and saying like again, I as a quote unquote generational Caymanian now have to ask the question, well, how far back do I have to count? I mean, the law says 1930, but I mean, what about? I mean, you know, like people who. What about the people who they're born here, but I don't know. We start getting into.
You're going into a rabbit hole, like what
we
Wake
start
Up.
going into a rabbit hole, and
I agree with you. It doesn't fix anything.
Like Wake Up the Cayman Islands says, we are going to have a lot of Caymanians with no connection to the island's heritage. Yes, there is two classes of Caymanian by nature.
Well, by law, not nature. Sorry to express it that way, but this is a distinction, right? There's nothing that would, in fact, the British argue that this distinction exists. They argue that once you become Cayman, for 5 years you should stand for office and be able to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't agree with that, but I'm just saying that that's one of the views that's out there by the UK, who they've been trying to push that for a long time.
Is it because of the BOTC citizenship, a pursued connection to other British overseas? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, it's because of them being the administering power
of us.
It would allow them to bring people here and essentially take the local political control away from the group that we think of as Caymanians today,
mm-hmm.
and give it to a new set of Caymanians who were brought here for that purpose. Because like what they've done in other places is like the concept of a referendum when it's used for deciding major issues,
mm-hmm.
is they use immigration as a tool to skew the outcome of a petition. Of a referendum.
Yeah.
And what will end up happening is that they will use immigration until they get the numbers to where they think that when
mm-hmm.
they take a vote, they'll get the outcome that they're looking for. And so it can be seen as if it naturally happened, but it was actually engineered.
Well, I just want to say this. You know, I don't want to feel like Siobhan is being shut down. Like I hear what Siobhan is
No,
saying,
no.
being a
No.
you know, being a mark of pride. And I think that, you know, like all
No,
of that
I
is
want to
valid.
hear. I want to hear what Siobhan has to say about the argument that I just made. Because yesterday, what I said to her is that we would continue the conversation today. And so what I've done is I've put in the law the justification of as to why things are the way they are. And I've also said that I think going forward, the conversation could be simpler. We could be able to write legislation more clearly if we had simpler terms to use
Mm-hmm.
in the writing of that legislation. But there's a reason the way it is the way it is. And I'm not promoting anything that's new. I'm just saying if we put a label on what's already there, it would be, because what it means to be a Caymanian is to have Caymanian status.
Mm-hmm. The
So-
definition
so
as
if
it
you-
is
if
right
you-
now. Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you have two classes of Caymanian, then what would be wrong with saying that one of those classes Caymanian and the other is new Caymanian? To me, that's just accurate.
I agree with Denny from a logical and legalistic perspective. I guess I will give way to that. For me, it is sentimental.
What is sentimental?
That I'm a generational Caymanian. And that distinction for me is
Okay, so what would you call the group that I would think of as a new Caymanian? How would you label that?
I'm not going. I wouldn't answer that. I
When-
prefer not to answer.
but okay, but you see,
Not because it's anything derogatory, but I mean, and I understand what you're saying by way of section. I think it's 27. You know, Caymanian as of right, new Caymanian or
28
whatever.
as of by the
For me,
border grant.
because there was a period, if I recall correctly, and they had it wrong we had it wrong as we do many things, that Caymanian and status holder was different. Those two terms were not seen as one thing.
But not
I'm just
based on
saying
a
that
definition.
was the sentiment.
No.
Correct. I'm just saying that was the sentiment. You will see a job. You will see a job right now. I'm sure I can pull up 10 and send you where they'll say Caymanian.
Need only
Slash-
apply. Mm-hmm.
No, Caymanian / status holder. If the legal definition of a Caymanian is status holder, then why are jobs still why are jobs still being segregated on that basis? If that's the case, if it's not important, and if status holder is good enough for you, it's good enough for me. It is good enough for me, and I understand what you're saying in that, you know, we're all status holders from a legal perspective. But call me Caymanian, call them status holders. I don't care what you call them.
Okay, so, but you see, if you do that, then what you would be doing is you'd be perpetuating this illusion.
Them versus
that-
us is, I think, where Danny's trying to.
No. What the illusion would be that you'd be perpetuating is that somehow Caymanian is different from a status holder.
But it is.
It is.
But
not.
it is.
It
But it is. But we have one inalienable right that they
okay.
don't have.
I'm going to assume that you're correct. Okay. Explain to me how Caymanian is distinct from a status holder.
They can never run for public office. And that's the one distinction that is very important to me.
Okay, so what you would be saying is that Caymanian would be a status holder who could run for office, and a status holder would be a status holder who cannot run for office.
Yeah.
That's how you would want it to be.
That's how I view it.
Okay. Alfred, do you
Because I
think
know
that
if someone
the
has Cayman status,
Mhm.
I know that person will never be eligible based on current legislation. If we keep the way we're going, that might change too, but that's I digress. As it is, I know that someone who has Caymanian status who has been maybe not legally defined as a status holder, that person will never be able to run for public office. And
But their
that's
kids will.
also a legal their kid will, and that's not something that we can do anything about.
Correct.
But I mean, and that's not always the case either, because if that person was not Caymanian as at the time of the child's birth, then they also do not qualify.
But we have found a section in the law that once the kids were here automatically for 10 years, and they're legal and ordinary resident, they're automatically British overseas. So my love,
forgot about that
they are
dreaded new piece of
Caymanian.
legislation.
Yeah, no, it's not new. It's there. It just wasn't addressed.
Yeah.
It's still there. So those kids would be able to run for office.
Wow.
So Alfred,
Plot thickens.
do you think that the public would accept Siobhan's proposal for how you define the two classes of Caymanians?
I mean, I won't pretend to speak for the public.
No, but I mean, if you hear the sentiments that they express, what's the probability that you think they will gravitate towards?
But you see, I don't think it would be fair for me to say anything on that matter, because we have Caymanians that are born and bred that don't agree with Siobhan, and you have Caymanians that are born and bred that don't agree with me or you. So I'm not gonna pretend to speak for what I think the public is. I mean, I'm not gonna do that. But okay. But the point that Siobhan raised about not being able to run for public office, and I have Sabrina, who is an ex-parliamentarian. I have Denny, who is you're very much into law. And Siobhan, I think you're a trained lawyer, or you went to law school.
Yeah.
Okay, so amongst the three of you, maybe you can explain something to me, right? Let's say you have a Caymanian, quote unquote, right? Who wasn't born here, whose parents were not born here, whose grandparents were not born here, but have great grandparents and great great grandparents who have legal documents for land and things here. The whole family trees and legal documents here. That child now was not born in Cayman, comes to Cayman now. Should they be permitted to run for public office? I mean, because we just said that the definition of what was it, generational who has family going back to 1930 or before,
traceable.
So would that person be able, or should that person be able to run for office?
Well, they would be Caymanian on the basis of their connection, as the way the law is currently.
Not according to the law. The law still currently states, and I just posted a question on the screen. What about someone who comes here as great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents from here, but under the current law does not qualify for the right to be Caymanian? Would they be eligible for status based on lineage? Now, the distinction between the conversation and what we're talking about in law, still under current immigration law, on the grounds of descent, stops at grandparents. For the purpose of the petition, it goes back as far as 1930. So the answer to the question is anyone who has great-great-grandparents under the current law, you still can't get or acquire Caymanian status under current law. For the sake of the petition, they would be, once it's traceable, to go back as far as 1930, they would be deemed generational Caymanian. So I don't want to get the current law and the petition mixed up, because right now the two are not married, just for context.
Okay. But I mean, if your great-grandparent was Caymanian, surely their child would be entitled to Caymanian status. And you could make that connection via that way, as in maybe your parent or your grandparent applies through their parent, because they would be entitled to it. And you would make your connection for Caymanian status that way.
But you would
you
have to,
not?
under the current law, you have to prove that one parent was born in the islands to prove it by way of descent, even if you go through grandparents. One or both parents would have to be born in the islands.
Sorry, and that's the law or the petition?
That's the law.
That's the law.
All right, guys.
You see, under
I'm thinking
section 2,
about
a person
the
who has attained the age of 18 satisfies the board that the person is a child or grandchild of a Caymanian born in the islands and is not otherwise entitled to the right to be Caymanian may apply to the board for the grant of the right to be Caymanian. Now that particular section is the grounds of descent by way of the board. Now, the question that was asked is whether or not this petition would make these persons be eligible for the grant acquisition by right to be Caymanian by the board. In this case, the law does not state that it has extended beyond grand.
Okay. I'm not sure. I need to
Maybe
think on that one a little.
that would be a part of the whole part 2 of the amendment that is being proposed.
No, but Auntie Sabrina, you see the point I'm trying to make, right?
Go ahead.
No, do you understand what I'm trying to? My problem with the term,
generational Caymanian.
generational Caymanian, and then affixing it to 1930, and then it's already not reflected in law.
It's not.
And then it's like, it's okay, well then, we have the right, only generational, only Caymanian,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Can run for office. And I'm like, okay, well, what if you have somebody who can only count back as a person, as a quote unquote Caymanian born here before 1930? We're talking great grandparents, great grandparents, but between themselves, their parents and their grandparents were not born here, but they can prove that they were here, but yet still that person cannot run for office here.
Okay, we in a mess. We better talk this through good.
I don't know.
Danny, you see what I'm saying, right?
Oh my God.
And it would create situations where people were born in 2025.
Yeah.
And they were, let's say they were married to Caymanians and became a Caymanian, but their ancestry do not go back to 1930. Yeah, so that create other variable.
Good God divine.
Must God.
We pretty much said that at the same time. Yeah.
I just want to say, I just want to say that, we already have the distinctions between many different types of Caymanian, but I want a Cayman that is united.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 classes.
No, but what I'm saying is I don't want us to devolve into a state of, well, I'm more Caymanian than you, or you're more Caymanian than me. And because I can go back, I can count my generation back to Isaac.
When Methuselah donkey walked the earth.
There you go, right? Like I don't.
But Alfred, don't you think that we've already gone down that wormhole, rabbit hole, whatever?
No,
vortex?
No, we haven't. Caymanian. One by right and one by grant. There's only 2 classes.
Yeah, but nobody walks around and says, I came on by right.
You're actually saying it. You're actually saying it. You're just not using it legalese.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Nobody should walk around saying that I'm Caymanian as of right, or I'm Caymanian by grant, or I'm generational, or I'm status holder. You're Caymanian.
Okay.
And I think that
So what you're saying to Alfred is that the only label that should be used is Caymanian, but we should understand that to mean that there's a difference.
Danny, I'm saying that granted that there's a distinction in the law, I'm talking about in everyday parlance, right? In everyday conversation, in everyday interaction. Let's get out of this.
New paper,
Rut
NIP.
that we find ourselves in. That okay, well, I come here by plane, you come here by plane. I'm more Caymanian than you. You more Caymanian than me. And there are other ways of dealing with the issues that we as Caymanians, and I'm being inclusive here, are dealing with on these 3 islands without having to, okay, well, we got to put this in law. We have to make this definition, and we got to make up a new definition. And there are ways that we can address those things. And to all of the Caymanians out there, and I don't want to lose Siobhan's point that she made earlier, that there are Caymanians who are being bullied in the workplace, and there are Caymanians who, I guess, they keep quiet because of either power imbalances, or I don't know, some of them might, feel a sense of inferiority or whatnot. So whatever, right? Hold your head up, stand your ground, speak for yourself, speak for you. As a Caymanian, you have the right to speak for all Caymanians in those conversations and document it, and then follow everything that you have to do. I don't want a hyphenated.
Let nothing come between you and your money. You show up, show out, get the job done, and go to your yard. You're there to make money, not friends.
Yourself. And elevate yourself, like Siobhan
Look
said.
for every opportunity to propel yourself forward. And there are things that I think sorry to cut you off, Alfred. There are things that I think every Caymanian, you have the obligation, you are responsible for your future. You are responsible for, and is it going to be hard work? I tell people all the time, a Caymanian has to work twice as hard to get a job, 2 times as hard to keep a job. And sometimes it's because of their own selves, why they can't get it or keep it. But sometimes that's not the case. And I think if we're being honest, we can accept that is sometimes the case. He just don't want you there.
But looking, go ahead.
Can I just share something a bit personal?
Of course.
I have. I sound like them people in the States. I got black friends and I got gay friends and that kind, right? I have expat friends here who have said to me things like, Alfred, I'm not trying to be offensive, but it's certain things that we see certain Caymanians do here that, it looks bad, or they'll make a comment. And what I try to listen for, where I need to correct them, I'll correct them. But what I'm listening for is, why are they saying that? And some of them will say, maybe they don't want to offend me personally, but they'll say, but I don't count you as one of them. And I'll say, well, why not? Right? Oh, well, because I guess you're
different. You're not one of those Caymanians.
You're educated. You're a bit more worldly in your worldview. You're not closed-minded.
You're different.
But there's nothing special about me that only applies to me and can't be applied to other Caymanians as well. Like Siobhan is saying, elevate yourself. Open up your worldview. You're not gonna take everything what people come in and implement it here, because if it don't fit within our cultural context, it don't fit within our cultural context. But open your mind up. Learn from people. Let's create a space for where people don't view us as that anymore.
But guys, looking into the future right now, we are seeing it. ESO's projection is that the population could reach 95,000 by 2027, right? Currently, we're less than approximately a little shy of 46% Caymanians. That includes correct, everybody as Caymanian, once you have status, whatever, right? Do you feel that we are going to continue to have this level of conversations as we are right now, defining the generational and that sort of stuff? The more we're seeing the imbalance when you look at the population growth, when you look at just being outnumbered, do you feel that the voices will eventually fade in the distance because we have become so diluted and we can't have children? And even if we right now, even if the government decides, I'm going to pay every Caymanian to have children. I'm going to incentivize you. You're not going to see a positive impact for that for at least 2 decades.
South Korea tried that because they're in a population thing right now and it's not working. That's not gonna work.
You see?
Well, to your point, Sabrina, I think that Caymanians have long gone are the days when you're barefoot and pregnant. Those days are done.
Mm-hmm.
There is no real, when I say incentive, I think people are being more aware,
Mm-hmm.
not just aware of themselves, but are truly looking on and saying, I mean, long gone are the days when you could have 6 children. Sorry.
You
Those
just
days are
can't
done.
afford them now.
You simply can't afford them.
Well, for
right?
those who are planned.
But I'm not, so we have to grow our population artificially by way of immigration. And so those people, by far and large, automatically will get counted at some point, more often than not, in the number as Caymanian. And soon the idea of a generational Caymanian will not be a thing, will not be anymore. And it'll be something that you read about in the history books. Because I just think that we're going to become, as a people, more diluted, and there will be no more my neighbor string buried in South Sound. They're going to dig that up and put a condo.
A rhetorical question, just for thought, right? Will Caymanians feel at home if this growth continues? Do you feel that this whole thing will stand the test of time then?
Well, we can take a look at what's actually happening now and consider how many Caymanians have opted to move away from the island for what is the perception of a better opportunity or a better life or an easier life, less competition, a bigger space. There's some Caymanians who genuinely don't like Cayman. And I accept that. I have one that lives in my house. I could tie her up in here talking about she just can't wait to leave Cayman. Cayman is just too small. Cayman is just too small. She needs to get out and see the world. And here I am saying, I can die here. I'm going to die righteous, so bear me in my backyard. However, it is becoming more and more difficult. And I think any Caymanian who says it's not is either lying to themselves or living in a bubble of sorts, that it's not becoming more and more difficult to exist here. And I think, and I'll speak for myself, I think as a Caymanian, it feels more and more, it gets harder. The perception of it, and I mean, like I said, you see Alfred roll up from Canada today. Alfred comes here as a server, and in 2 years, Alfred is the CFO of some company. He came here as a server. So,
but is there anything wrong with that?
No, because they create opportunities for themselves, which is why I continue to say Caymanians have to. You are responsible for where you paddle your canoe. You're responsible for where your car going. Always be in the driver's seat of your You can pull over and get out at any time.
But are we
in control of?
Are we then programmed to working in certain jobs just don't give you that same opportunity? Is it a cultural thing? That you don't make it anywhere unless you're in one of the big fives or law or finance?
Well, just to think about. Sorry, Alfred. Just to think about it. I don't know about you, Mr. Boone. You're a little bit older than us, right? But I mean, that's
Thank
right.
you. No, like you.
Right. Tell them, Sabrina.
Fine wine.
When I was growing up, if anybody looks at my Facebook, all I seem to do is cook. I wanted to be a chef. My dad said there is no hell way that you go in school and learn to cook. So that's how he saw it. That was his perspective. My dad's a builder. That's all he's done his entire life. Has done a good job at it. Has eked out a very, a noble living, right? But in his mind, being a chef was crazy. And he didn't care what I studied. It just couldn't be that. And it had to be something. But I think by far and large, I feel like I come from a generation of, you better be a doctor, lawyer, or accountant. You better be a doctor, lawyer, or accountant. And we have overlooked a lot of trades. have forced our children, or we were forced into certain careers that don't necessarily bring fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of regards, people have gone off and gotten degrees that are truly useless to them in this climate. What's an astrophysicist doing in Cayman? Working at the government as an executive officer or some crap like that. That's a real thing. That's somebody. I know somebody who has a biochemistry degree. She works at government, not at HSC. And these are very real things for me. I don't think that he would mind me calling his name. God bless him, because he's an honest to God human, Mr. Ha-Ha. What Ha-Ha real name is? Alan Moore. Is that his name?
Yeah, Alan Moore.
Ha-Ha created, and we're going to get it back up and running, I promise him. Ha-Ha created him along with someone else who I don't have permission. I don't think she'd want me to call her name. Started to create a dental program. No, the one thing that I know, everybody getting 2 sets of teeth. Why is it that, how many Caymanian dental assistants do you see in this country?
Not many.
Nope.
She counted 4. The person that I'm speaking about, she's a dental surgeon. And she counted 4. She's been here 21 years. She knows of 4, right? She's been on my case since about 2000. I was still in school, and she was like, why aren't Caymanians being pushed toward, why is it that we associate the medical field with going to medical school? You can be a dental assistant. You can be an x-ray technician. You can be a lab tech. You can be a phlebotomist. Like, these are not 4-year degrees, but these are all very essential degrees. And we're not treating our children and pushing them toward those careers, which are careers, like I said, guess what? You will always have 2 sets of teeth. Someone's going to look at your teeth every single time. Ha created an electrical program, funded it out of his own pocket. Nothing happened with it. He had HVAC. He had electrical. He had her assistant with trying to get a dental assistant program up and running. I think at that time, I don't know if things have changed, because it's been about maybe right before COVID that this was happening. She was saying that at that time, this program was, you could get certified through, I believe it was on like a company, I think out of Canada, because she was saying, we have specific requirements that our degrees have to be recognized by and from certain jurisdictions and stuff. But who's a better electrician than Ha-Ha? Who's better to teach electrical than Ha-Ha? You understand? And so we have pushed our children, or we push children toward certain careers because we feel that it will bring them more success and more this and more that. And we have completely overlooked. Yeah, we've completely overlooked the fact that we still need plumbers.
Correct.
We still need electricians. And I feel like I've beaten the TVET drum or my soapbox or whatever, right? But there are other things within those fields, within the tech box fields, that have not been explored or have not even been pushed or spoken about. And guess what? They still need to be done. You have jurisdictions that specifically focus on those things, and they identify children or school leavers from a very early age. And I'm not suggesting that we segregate and about, he can only be a plumber, but I'm just saying that there's a recognition. And I think that that's imperative, that that person, she would genuinely have children that want to work with their hands.
Right. I'm going to ask you guys to wrap up, because we're getting close to time. I can go over by 5 minutes, but I want you all to use this time to wrap up. Yeah.
So that's just it. I want to implore Caymanians, again, let nothing come between you and your money. Don't make people make you act out of character, because you allow them to cast aspersions on the rest of us. When in a moment of frustration, do your best, be the bigger person. Don't be popping off. HR is free. HR is free. If you need a little help, you can call me. I'll walk you through it. And just remember that you gotta work twice as hard to get it, 3 times as hard to keep it. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. Alfred?
About keeping it. Everything Siobhan said just now has merit. I just want to add one thing about keeping it. If you are a Caymanian and you own a little piece of land, or your family got a piece of land, don't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on to it.
That has been your mantra. For
That
sure.
has been my mantra.
That's true.
Hold on to it as long as you can hold on. And if you absolutely have to sell it, I mean, like you're in dire financial straits and you have to sell it.
Call me or Alfred. We buy it
Call
from
me, I'll buy it. Call Siobhan, or as best as possible, try to work with
Find another Caymanian. Find another Caymanian.
Yeah.
And there you go. Thank you so much, two of you. Danny, what's your wrap up?
What I heard Alfred saying is perhaps he would be more inclined to hang on to the current definition of Caymanian, in that you have two classes of Caymanian, but he'll just stick with one label. He seems to not want to have two labels. But what I would like to say in closing is that if anyone,
to be clear, I'm just saying that in everyday parlance, like just
right?
in everyday.
I know. I understand. I am. But what I'd like to say is that anyone who's listening to this conversation, please join the conversation and let us hear what you have to say about the issue. I'll leave it there.
Oh, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having you all here, and continuing to opening up these discussions and bringing so much knowledge and wisdom, your opinions, and in a respectful manner. Thank you, guys. And of course, tomorrow is open mic. So think about it, send me some ideas, and we can definitely air it here. You and anybody else. Thank you all for being a part of Sabrina Speaks. Have a good night, guys. Yeah.
Good night, guys. Nice talking.
Sure, always a pleasure. There was a question that I saw asked here, whether or not dual citizenship, if we were allowed to have dual citizenship. Yes, here it is. Question: why are status holders not obligated to renounce their citizenship since they desperately want to be Caymanian? Because we're a British Overseas Territories jurisdiction that allows dual citizenship. So it is not a mandate here. That because we are a British Overseas Territory citizen, that is allowed. Dual citizenship is allowed just because we are a BOTC. That is the case. And yes, we do consider ourselves Caribbean. We're a British Overseas Territories jurisdiction. Jim, thank you so much for those compliments. Yes, we appreciate bringing it here. And it is always a pleasure to bring it, keeping it real here. Up next on cmrtv.com in about 15 to 20 minutes, you'll be having the AI wave, and their episode tonight is how AI is revolutionizing the travel and hotel booking industry. That's coming up next. So as I wrap up tonight's episode of Sabrina Speaks, we've talked about, well, we got into identity. That was huge. And I want to thank everybody for contributing. And we even looked about change and future Cayman. Now, these conversations, as you know, reminds us that while these challenges are real, opportunities are also within reach. And if we stand together and speak up for Cayman, we want to see anything can happen. And speaking about opportunities, please, please, please don't forget to visit International Lighting at Ed's Plaza North Sound Road, because they're having their big sale. And for 2025, the last sale for 2025 on their bedspreads and all that. And plus you spend $50, you get an opportunity to get enter the drawing for a Cayman Airways ticket. So yes, as we look forward to building a brighter Cayman tomorrow, you can also brighten your home today, and maybe even your travels with International Lighting. They're open from 9 until 6, or you can give them a call, 949-5141. What is Connie saying before I go? We are not running for politics. Why should we renounce it? That's the answer to that other one. Romelia, why are status holders who don't live here still able to keep it? I just said why, because they're allowed to have it under the British Overseas jurisdiction. There's nothing that mandates them to give it up. That's just how it is. Great show tonight, Alfred. Oh, thank you, Sabrina. It's always a pleasure to have you all logged in, tune in, because we're one, the only, and it's because of each and every one of you. I want to thank every one of you for joining me tonight, for commenting, for calling 345. Put it down, save it in your phone. 345-936-8255. And should you have a show idea that you'd want us, or a topic that you want us to discuss, send me an email. It's Sabrina Speaks, the number 12 at gmail.com. And of course, I will do it. Or you just send me a WhatsApp on the 345-936-8255 number, because any topics on the table. But it has been a wonderful experience as usual here, bringing you another episode of Sabrina Speaks here on this fabulous wet Tuesday evening. I'm hearing the rains outside. Thank you again for joining me. Let's keep the conversations alive. Tomorrow is open mic, and let's keep working together in unison for a stronger, united Cayman Islands. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Have a wonderful night. And as always, love you lots. God bless. Until tomorrow.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.